Hello everyone. Welcome back to the channel. My name is caitom and today I am building a fully fleshed out shell of a house. Basically, I was struggling to figure out how I wanted to decorate the interior, so I've just about everything on the outside all done, but now I am not sure if I will ever get to finishing the interior. I've already figured out a floor plan off camera, but it really leaves the living space awkwardly large. But to be fair, it is also an equally large house. And about this house, I am building this on a 40 by 40 lot in Brindleton Bay, and I can't exactly remember the name of the lot, but just know originally the house that is built here is for the first gay couple in The Sims, and it is in the neighborhood Sable Square. Originally, I was going to build it in the lot next to the shore with the neighborhood beside it, just because it has a better background, but the lighting was a little bit off, so I decided to build it here. And also the driveway, it really wouldn't have anything to connect to, so it would look really awkward. And you know, building this house, I kid you not, I have rebuilt this whole exterior 2 separate times, and both times I got to attempting to furnish the inside. I don't know what's wrong with me, man. I guess I'm just in a bit of a builder's block maybe. The first time I really wasn't vibing with the interior, so I scrapped it and started over. I think until now I still don't know what kind of style I want the interior to look like. And the second time, I just thought it seemed way too big. And of course, instead of resizing the already built rooms, I just decided to scrap it all. Because if I were to resize the rooms, I would have to move all of the landscaping, and the way I use so much debug landscaping, it just keeps jumping up on the foundation. If I were to use any of the real landscaping, I probably wouldn't have an issue. But the debug landscaping from Cottage Living, top tier, chef's kiss. So yeah, and by the way, if you want to access debug landscaping, just turn on testing cheats space on. I believe the cheats are bb.showhiddenobjects and then bb.showliveeditobjects. I think I'm a little rusty, but just know the cheats that I use are down below in the description. Which, speaking of, if you want to download this shell and make yourself a floor plan and decorate the interior yourself, it is up on the gallery under my ID caitom, and I believe I titled it Red Brick Shell. It's more than just, you know, red brick, but short and simple, just how things should be. But yeah, I won't lie, this build, I had me mulling over it for a bit, and that is why I'm posting this on a Friday instead of a Thursday. And speaking of posting dates, I think posting videos on Monday and Thursday from now on should be a decent schedule for me, since I am currently in college. That basically means I'll just have a few days during the week to work on a video, and then I'll probably have the weekend to work on another video, which will probably leave me with more than enough time to stay on top of my assignments. And I think at that point, it's just between me and God. Or mainly just me and my procrastination issues. Guys, guys, I mean this. Stay on top of your work and don't let it build up. The last few semesters have been awful because I'm really bad with time management. But this year's the year. I mean it. 2023 is my time to get myself together. Anyways, I only say that because the workload will definitely increase after the next week. They usually say, or not usually the first week is just getting everyone kind of adjusted to the classes, I guess, and then they throw down the real stuff like a week or 2 after. But luckily for me, I think 2 of my courses are only 8 weeks long, which means that in roughly 2 months I'll probably have an increase in free time to work on more builds for you guys. But it just means that until then, it is rise and grind time. Yeah, the Valorant lingo has really... it's bleeding out. Anyways, back to the build. So, I imagine a multi-generational family to live here. In my floor plan, I was able to fit 6 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms with space for a formal and informal dining, a kitchen, and a living room. I was also able to fit a whole piano in here, so you can see why a large family would, they would have to live here. Unless both of the, well, I guess it doesn't have to be a family per se. It just has to be people or Sims with really good paying jobs. And if you've gotten far enough into the careers, it can happen pretty quickly, I won't lie. And a little bit about this house is that the exterior cost a whopping 40k simoleons. I'm not even sure how it got to that much. I want to say it's mainly the brick and the windows that I use. Because although I'm using base game windows, mostly, for the most part, I think these are the windows that fit on the medium wall type, and I want to assume that they cost way more than had I used the smaller versions. So, a little bit of an oopsie on my part. And maybe the fencing too. And not really for the back porch, I guess for the balconies that I have. Okay, not really balcony. I have one balcony on that side, the right side, and I have a back patio. I love how anytime I mention a back patio, I phrase it like a question, like I'm not sure what it's called. I'm pretty sure it's called a back patio. If it's not, then, well, that's a problem for future me. But right now we're actually working on a bit of the garage. One thing I used to do when I first started building was add these little roof lights to garages. Only in the ones that were separated from the main house. I just think that it makes the space a bit more interesting, and since I would probably add skill building items, it would mean that the sim or sims that I ended up trapping in here all day can enjoy some sunlight from all times of the day. And you've probably noticed all the flip-flopping that I do in this build, and for that I do apologize if the camera's moving like way too fast. I tend to move the camera a lot more just because I can't really settle on a single angle to save a life. I just need to evaluate things from all angles, I guess, and just see how it looks in the environment. But yeah, and right over here is the little makeshift pergola slash, no, just a pergola that I do add on a whim. I know I add that pool that takes up like pretty much half of the entire backyard, but there is still leftover space that can still be utilized, and I utilize that by adding a little covered seating area. You saw me try and make a veranda, and I decided that the spacing of, I guess, the Sims little grid, it just wasn't working out for me, and the size was either way too big or way too small. And if I had used that base game pergola, it would be annoying if the sim is actually in there just because it doesn't disappear when your camera gets up close to it. And that's something I thought would be, I don't know, I guess a thing for the pergolas, but it is not. So I do make my own. This little item that I'm moving around is actually, I want to say it's a wall decoration or painting from the High School Years expansion pack. It's basically just ivy or vines just growing up on this little ladder thing, and I thought it did well to kind of replicate the base game pergola look. And the finishing touch was really just adding the columns on either side of it. And surprisingly, it looks pretty well despite all the different, like, slightly different shades of wood. Honestly, just don't look at it too closely, or just look at it in the dark. It looks better at night. So I guess I should go into a little detail about the items that I'm using for this little makeshift pergola. So like I mentioned previously, the little ivy thing is from the High School Years, and also this little couch set. I'm not sure if I use a rug. I want to say I do, just because I guess all the wood tones look a little clashy. Basically, this whole set is from High School Years, besides the little columns and the table. The table and the columns come from the Cats and Dogs expansion. but the little light comes from Cottage living, and I think I also add some lanterns from Seasons. Okay, well, I guess I add more lights than I originally planned. Well, more lights than I remember. I really wanted to add a bit more string lights, but it seemed a little bit tedious to kind of raise them up, and then the fact that it's on a platform, it would keep jumping up from the platform to ground level to platform, and the way that like I said, I've built this whole exterior 2 times previously, I really wasn't having it. The patience, gone. I've worn it thin, and it's purely my fault. So besides that little seating area, I do try and get a little dining space. I wasn't sure if I wanted to add a big dining table or a covered dining table, but I do opt for a covered dining table, and I just leave that on the back patio. Honestly, when it comes to these little backyards, I don't really have a clue of how I should lay them out. If y'all have any suggestions or tips, do let me know, because I tend to just think about the front, and then the backyard is a bit of an afterthought, which is probably noticeable by how I need to take extra time to kind of get all the items and place them out and place them where I want. So you saw me place a swing set, which is from Seasons, and these little lounge chairs from Desert Luxe. I wasn't really sure what kind of lounge chairs I wanted to use, just because I wanted things to be a bit more cohesive in terms of the exterior and how it's a bit of a colonial style. And that's largely the reason why I couldn't figure out an interior, but I think that's just a bad habit of mine. You know, not all exteriors have to match the interiors. I think it's mainly because I saw a video about like real life houses, how if you want the house to seem timeless, you should match the exterior or match the interior with the exterior. But this is The Sims, and we all have creative freedom to do what we want. And it's just me holding myself back. But yeah, more furniture I do add here is the little kiddie pool and the telescope. Yes, that's the word. Just because I imagined a multi-generational family to live here, I assumed maybe that, you know, with all this outdoor space, they're probably the type of family to enjoy their time out in the sun, get their photosynthesizing going on. And of course, I couldn't leave out the toddler. I don't usually add kiddie pools into my builds, just because I don't spare this much thoughts on it. But yeah, and that is pretty much the whole build. Thank you all so much for watching, and of course, if you want to download this home, it is up on my gallery under my ID caitom, and it is titled Red Brick Shell. Feel free to like, subscribe, and let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I hope to see you on the next one. Bye!